welcome to the highly, is this one also highly? Last one was highly anticipated. But I mean, I know you must have been waiting for us to just get started and kick off on writing or working on the base model, right? Which is what you actually have concerns with. But trust me, why I had to go through those roads so that you kind of basically understand every single thing that we'll be doing in this base model. So this base model just like be rushing it down because you know what you were doing now. You just kind of just need to like see what we'll be writing here, right? So if you actually watch the previous videos where we went through the logic, the thought process, how to serialize and deserialize this video series or this base model, the engine, it's going to be very, very simple for you to, kind of wrap your head around. So basically we have a base model. We're trying to design a base model. And before we start writing code, why do I love explaining concept? But I mean, you need to understand a lot of concept. You need to understand the low-level details about what you're about to do. Not just me showing you how to just write code. And following me, I need you to understand why you are doing what you are doing. Makes sense, right? So pardon me. So let me explain. So why you're going to need a base model is because we are working with what paradigm? Remind me. We're working with object-oriented paradigm or programming, which is OOP. And an object-oriented paradigm, it kind of makes it a little bit easy for us to work with objects or work on our application in the sense that we bundle every single related attribute and methods that will be operating on an object in one class. Makes sense, right? And we have features like encapsulation, inheritance, and the likes, like polymorphism. So now what we have a base model is because we'll be having a lot of classes that has what? That has similar methods and attributes. What are the methods? It will be every class will have a UUID. Every class will have a datetime object, like the created and the updated tag. Every single class will have the save method, and every single class will have the toDict method that returns that class to a dictionary. Is it making sense? So now we are not saying, so since all of these attributes and methods are common in every single class, let's create a base model that does what? That just basically what? Has all those all those common attributes and methods, and do what? And put it in the base model. So what can we now do? If we now put it in the base model, we can now basically do what? We can basically just create a class and inherit from the base model in order to what? In order to maintain the principle of programming, which is what? Dry. Don't repeat yourself. So since these are common patterns and these are common attributes and methods, let's kind of bundle it in one base model and just keep inheriting from them. So we are begging, give me this, give me this, give me this. That's what we'll be doing in every single class. Instead of constantly repeating all these common methods in every single class. Let's just keep it in one class and inherit. So do you kind of understand why we need a base model, right? So that's what we'll be doing in this video. So get your favorite beverage and let's kick-start the video. Thank you so much. I don't kind of know how to do introduction, but yeah, whatever. So let's start. So we have a base model that basically also have a little doc string over here. It has the base model is going to have the ID I've mentioned, the created at, which is basically when you created the object, the updated at when a change occurred in the object, str magic method that returns a string representation, and the save method that updates the time in the object, and a toDict method that kind of returns a dictionary representation of our object. And if you look at and you carefully observe, you see that we are doing something a little bit different because we'll be converting our datetime object into ISO format. And ISO format is kind of like a string format. And if you remember in our previous video, when we tried to serialize our datetime object, this JSON encoder did what? Echoed an error saying that it does not know how to what? Convert a class of datetime to what? To JSON representation, to a JSON representation. So for that reason, what did we do in that video in order to bypass that error? We kind of changed the time from datetime objects to what? To a string object. But the problem is that if we should do something like that, we cannot work with that word string object because it's a string. We cannot work with the datetime objects rather because it's a string. And if it's a string, that means we cannot kind of manipulate it. in the sense that maybe when we want to like do something like calculations, do some calculations on the date time, we can't calculate, like using the time delta to like minus and know when a user registered, when the user deleted, or how long the user has spent in our account. We can't do it because it's a string representation. But converting it to ISO format kind of gives us that privilege, because even though it's in ISO format, we can still work with it as if it was a regular datetime object. Does it make sense? So we'll be doing that in this video. So enough of the whole preaching and the whole long talk. Let's delve straight into business. So now let's follow the pattern. So we have what? We have a class named what? BaseModel. And the BaseModel has what? Has an ID of what? UUID. So we kind of have to import the UUID. So we do import. So we do from UUID import UUID4. So you know what? Let's just basically import everything that I'll be needing. We'll do from dates time import dates time. And following the pattern, what can we do? We could basically say ID is equal to what? str. Remember, I have to convert. And what again? Created at is equal to what? Date time dot now, right? And we do updated at is equal to, so I'm rushing because I've explained all of this, right? And that's actually the intention of taking my time to explain everything I'll be doing in this video, in the previous video. So we'll basically do self dot created at. So I have to add self there, I forgot. Self dot and if you remember, this is an instance attribute. And for us to make this an instance attribute, we have to call the underscore init method, right? So for call the init method, I don't need you, Siri. For call the init method, we just indent. And yeah, we are done with what? We are done with this first requirement. And the second requirement basically says we should return a string representation of our object. So just do underscore str. So how can we do that? We just basically do return an f string. So let's just copy this boy and paste. So in here, we just have to do this and change this to this is class name, so we have to change this to self dot underscore class dot underscore name, right? Then this is an ID do self dot underscore sorry ID, right? Then this is a dictionary, so we just have to do self dot, and you know how to return a dictionary, just underscore dit. And yeah, we are good with this requirement, right? Then after that, we have to work on, so we have a save method, right? So we call the save method, pass the self key, and it returns nothing. So we just have to update. So we'll do self dot updated at is equal to datetime dot now. So that's what we'll be doing, right? So we can actually know when a change happened. So whenever the user should change his email, we want to log this time that he carried out that operation. That's why we'll be doing something like this. Makes sense, right? Then after that, we call our toDict method. And we come over here, say def toDict. So this toDict will be doing a little bit something over here. So we just have to call self. So it says we are going to add a key of underscore class, and you are familiar with doing that, right? So just basically do to just say. So let's convert to dictionary first of all, and we say self dot dict. And we have to add what? We have to add a class And we can do what we can say, let's copy this boy, paste it over here. And after that, what else can we do? We can say created as an updated that must be converted to string object in ISO format, right? And if we want to do that, what can we do? So because this is a dictionary representation, it already has this word, it already has this time inside of it, right? So we can just basically access it using the .to-JSON, and we call the created at, and we do this, and we do is equal to what, and we do to-JSON at created at dot what dot ISO format. I'll have to copy this, paste it over here, and do updated at, and that's it. We are good. So if we do this, we are good with what, with the requirement. So we've what successfully created our base model. So this is what our base model that has what, that has every single thing that other classes will be inheriting, and you see them come into play very soon, soonest, I promise. So that's it, we are done. And it says what, this is the first step of serialization. Makes sense, right? Absolutely. So the only thing left for us to do is to basically return this dictionary, because we need it outside of what, outside of this class, or this method, right? So we just say to JSON. Fine and good. So let's check if we have an error. So let's start from the top. Oh, basically, so I was calling this my phone. So yeah, that's good. We check from here. Check. Any more error? Okay, no. Created. So this should be ISO format, right? I think. Yeah. So this should be ISO format with the O only here. And we should change this to updated. So I had a lot of errors, and I know you must have seen it. So I think we're good now. So anything, so we have a base model that just models every single method and attribute every other single class will be inheriting from, right? And it's nothing too complex. Over here, we've done this in the previous video, and this is like we're repeating what we've done before. So fine and good. So let's just instantiate our base model and test our code and see. You say base model, and let's call the model, and let's print. So for print now, we should expect to see what, to see our code work properly. So that's called base model, and we have base models. We have a function u. What does that mean? It means I called, oh my fault, I needed to call this GUID so we could get the value, right? So if we run again, and perfect, we have in the class name, the ID, and the dictionary representation. That's what we have over here. So that's what we did over here. So get the class name, get the ID, and return it as a dictionary. And that's it. So that's the output of this code. And now let's quickly do what? Let's quickly test other single model. So let's call the save method and say model.save. Okay, it's still gonna have the same time. Yeah, because it's having dots now. So it's still gonna have the same time. Right? It's still gonna have the same time. That's basically it. So what we can actually do is we can actually stimulate, maybe just have like a time. So just import time. And we can just use time to delay a little bit before calling time.sleep. Let's just sleep like for 3 seconds. Please bear with me. And we could call the model.save. So we'll just see a little bit, just a little bit of difference, like just a subtle difference. And let's test the save method right now. So let's call. So it's sleeping. Oh wait, my fault. So we have to print. Okay, yeah. So perfect. Perfect. So let's try it again. So look at the time over here. The created at is what? Is 3572. And over here, the updated at is what? 38875, and the updated at over here is what? 35732. So you see that there is subtle difference, right? Because this updates it to the current time, right? Because of this time that we added over here. Then after that, we have to test out our to-date method. So if we want to test out our to-date method, what can we basically do? We could just say JSON repre. Let's just say JSON representation, and we call to dict. We say model dot to dict, right? And we just have to print our JSON representation to see the output. So if we come over here and ISO format, okay, it has R over here, and I wanted to put the R first. Okay, no far. So we'll try again. I added C. How? So if we try again, okay, perfect now. So you know what? Let's just comment this print. So just kind of see the only boy we have. Okay, yeah, perfect. So the ID, the created at, and the updated at, so it's returning it in the dictionary format. And look at the class is added in it. So do you know what we can actually check? We can actually check the type to see if this type and this type of the created and updated are actually same, right? So we can come over here and say print type model dot created at, and we just kind of duplicate and change this to updated at, and copy and come over here. Come over here after this and paste and just change this to JSON representation, right? So let's take this off. So we expect to see that the model created at will be a date time object, and the JSON representation, which is where we converted it to ISO format, should be a string, right? So that's true. So let's check and see. Updated at. What happened again? Updated at. Created at. Listen, dot. It's saying what? This update has no attribute created at. Listen, dot. What does that mean? I have created at over here. So JSON created at, just please bear with me so we could check. Okay, sorry, this is a dictionary, so we have to do it like this, right? So I always forget. So I'm assessing it as if it was to be an object, right? So we have to do updated at, or we can do the get. So we can actually do this JSON dot get, right? So these are the ways we can. So you can use get or you can use a square brace, right? Sorry, my fault. That's why it was echoing errors. I was assessing it as if it was to be an object. You can only use dot when it's an object, right? So now we want to check their type if they are actually the same. And this should work now. Okay, perfect. So you see the first two boys, which are these boys over here, the created at and the updated at, that is inside of the init method, which is the instance of this object, is what? Is a datetime object. And this our dictionary created at and updated at is what? Is str object. And if you want to doubt me, if I take this off and if I print it again, this is going to be datetime object and not str. Can you see? It's now a datetime object. So that's changing to str because of this ISO format that we converted it into, right? And if we run again, str, datetime. And makes sense. And we are done what? We are done modeling our what? Our date, our base model. So now it's kind of prepared. And it's going to what? Share this attribute and method to every single class that will inherit from, should I call it her or him? That will inherit from the base model. So it's a very a good person want to share like his attributes to the subclass that will inherit from it. So thank you so much. That's everything we need to know about the base model. And in the next class, we'll be talking about the file storage. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned. We'll get into the file storage so that we can be able to do what? Persist this object into our database. And the file storage is going to also be what? Very, very simple because we've done it in the previous video. So just have to what? Run through the project. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and Support the channel the best way you can, and thank you so much. God bless you.